What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Wednesdays with Wersh. In this week's video, I'm going to talk to you guys about foam rolling and share with you my post-workout protocol to help me reduce soreness, improve my range of motion, and improve my recovery time. So without further ado, let's get into these torture devices. Alright, so let's talk about myofascial release, also known as foam rolling. If you guys haven't done this already, then you are in for a treat. It's quite painful, especially after a workout when you're extremely sore. And the reason for this is you're actually breaking up the connective tissue known as fascia that sits right on top of the muscle. It kind of helps to keep it contained and in its right place and form and everything. And I was actually cutting into a cadaver a few weeks ago. I know, TMI, but and we got to see the fascia. We had to cut away so that we could check out the muscles and look at everything inside. And it actually does connect to the muscle quite a bit. And so this action of releasing the fascia is breaking up that tissue, which is why it hurts so much when you do it. But you also know, people that have suffered through it, you realize how much better you feel afterwards. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, is techniques to help you get the most out of your foam rolling, and then also just some of the benefits of doing it or hitting just those target areas that are really sore or really tight. Because we don't need to be foam rolling all day, every day, or foam rolling for 20 or 30 minutes. Most of us don't have that much time. So I'm going to show you some quick techniques that you guys can use to get the most out of your foam rolling. But first, let's jump over and do a sprint workout so that I can be properly sore to do this foam rolling later on today. So let's jump into it. All right, so I'm back at the house, and it's actually the next day because I decided to get a second workout in after my sprint training session. I felt pretty good and thought, you know what, maybe I'll get a pull workout in before I go to the sauna. Now I'm really paying for it, so I am itching to get on this thing and start working out my muscles because I desperately need it. So let's jump onto the floor, and I'll take you guys through some proper foam rolling techniques. So first off, we're gonna start with the lower extremities. Now what most people do, and this is a huge mistake, is they foam roll too fast. The point of foam rolling is to find those spots that you're really sore and sit on them. And you basically want to apply pressure in those areas to be able to elongate the muscles, alleviate the stress, and break apart that tissue that's all knotted up and tight. So what you want to do is you want to basically roll until you hit a spot that's kind of sensitive, work your way around it, and then slowly just dig into that area. That's the self-massage aspect of it. If somebody, like a physical therapist, was breaking down these muscles, that's what they'd be doing. So I like to start off with my Achilles heel and work my way up the calf. And you don't want to go over any of the joints. So you don't want to go all the way up behind the kneecap. You want to just stay on the calf muscles, work both the lateral and medial side. So that means the outer part of the calf and the medial, the inside of the calf, right? Get all up in there. And then you're gonna do the same for the other side. And then we're gonna work our way up to the hamstrings. So next we have the hamstrings, where we are gonna roll all the way up to the glutes. So the butt here, just to that crease, And we're gonna work our way back slowly because these are big muscles, and if you're doing hamstrings like deadlifts or hamstring curls, then you're gonna wanna stretch these out, and this is just a form of stretching. Next, we're gonna cross over and work into the IT band. So the important thing here is you wanna work on both sides of the IT band. There's this band that runs all the way down the side of your hip and connects to your knee. So we're trying to break apart the tissue that's both above it and beneath it. So we kind of want to roll around and rock our way around. So I'm first going to start off with the lower part and see how my foot is bent over here and I have my elbow planted on the ground. I should probably move back. So the elbow being planted on the ground and my foot back here helps to take the pressure off. If you want to add more weight or pressure, you bring your foot over to the front, and now you're gonna start applying a little bit more weight. If you want even more of an intensity, you now let your other foot hang, and now this is gonna be giving you the most weight to work into that muscle. So if it's really sore, you wanna start off light and slowly add more pressure. Now this is gonna lead us into the quadricep, a little bit different. Now we're gonna roll over onto our stomach, and there's 4 big muscles here. Here, I'll show you on the other side. So when we get into the quadricep, the trick here is you want to go all the way up to the hip flexor and work your way all the way down, and don't go over the kneecap. So you just want to go up until you hit the top part of your knee, but don't go over the actual joint itself. Work your way all the way down to the hip flexor and back up, and find those trigger points, those spots that don't feel so good, and then just you want to sit into that spot and just breathe. Most important thing is to not tighten up. You want to relax your way into the actual knot that you have. And my quads are pretty tight, so are my hamstrings. Now we're gonna go into one of the more easier ones, which is your back. Now the trick here is you don't want to go below your lumbar. So basically don't go below your belly button. And that's because you don't want to overextend or hyperextend your back. You just want to basically loosen up all the muscles in your back. So your lats, all the way up to your rhomboids, your traps. You're going to be working the erector spinae anatomy right there for you. Those are basically the muscles that run up and down your vertebrae. And here, you're going to get a huge relief. So work the different angles. You could tilt to one side, get your shoulder into it, and you'll feel you're going to start to work out your scapula and all the muscles that attached to the scapula, and this just helps to gain better posture, release the muscles, alleviate some of the tension that's in there. Trust me, it feels amazing. And then this is kind of painful. If you guys have tight lats like I do, or you have shoulder problems, a lot of times that can be from tightness back here, because those muscles actually anchor onto your humerus or your arm. So when they're latching onto here, they're actually pulling your shoulder inwards, giving you bad posture and causing shoulder problems. So that's normally due to really tight lats. And since I work out with my back a lot, the way to counteract this is you're going to lay down on the foam roll on your lat. Your body is all planted on the ground. You're gonna reach this arm out. I'll move down here. So you're gonna reach this arm out, and you're gonna slowly work your way back and forth. And this is really gonna dig in there. Next, you're gonna wanna roll onto your stomach or onto your chest, and this is gonna be if you're really brave. This doesn't feel good. And you're rolling your chest, and you're gonna work that same spot of the lat, and you're gonna work your way back and forth. Now, staying on one spot or the other and saying like, oh, I need to spend, 15 rolls per spot, it totally depends on where you're tight. Wherever you're tight is where you want to spend the most time. If you're feeling loose in other areas, then don't waste your time there. It's not worth it. Foam rolling should be a relief and not something that you just look at as like another chore to do after a workout. You should look forward to it because it's going to give you bigger range of motion. It's going to reduce the soreness. It's going to help increase the blood flow and break up that fascia. And it's going to help you recover faster from your workouts, which is the most important thing. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to work on is my abductor muscles. So these are the muscles on the inside of your groin, and they're really important because They help to bring your legs back into the midline. So if you're doing squats, or for girls out there that are doing band work and things like this, you want to work on the inside. It's gonna look like you're humping the ground, but you're basically rolling all the way up to the knee, not going over the joint, and working your way all the way up to the pubic bone, or the inside of your hip flexors. And that'll help take some of that pressure off the knee, maybe alleviate some of the hip pain that you're dealing with. Next, we're gonna go to the front of the shoulder, the deltoid, and the bicep. For some people, this could be a really tight area. So going into the shoulder blade and actually rolling back and forth on the shoulder blade, rotating or supinating the hand. So turning the hand where your palm is facing up, like you can hold a bowl of soup, supinating or pronating to get into those areas that are a little bit tricky for you. And you're gonna work back and forth on the front of the shoulder. And you can also do the same on the bicep. If you have a really tight bicep, you can do the same for your pecs as well. I found that it's not as helpful for like the abs or anything like that, so I typically don't do any form of foam rolling there. Now, if you're a more advanced foam roller and this isn't getting into those areas, like you might have something that requires a little bit more precision, that's where you're gonna wanna use tools like this. Trigger point, you can use a softball or you can use a lacrosse ball, and these are gonna allow you to get in and target more specific areas. So let's say I have a problem in my scapula, so it's in my back. I can either put it on the ground here or up against a wall and apply as much pressure as I'd like, but I can get in and work into just underneath, like maybe I have a certain trigger point underneath my scapula, in between my vertebrae, it's really tight and it's bugging me. This is gonna be the tool that you use to get in there, because this has more surface area, so it's gonna target a broader range of muscles. This is something that's gonna allow you to get in there and focus maybe on your shoulders a little bit more. You can use it to target the back of your traps and your rhomboids and help to loosen up and alleviate some of the stress if you don't have a significant other to be able to massage your shoulders. So it's a great tool for relieving stress, and a great tool for just working on those tight areas that you just forget about, you know, that just bug you throughout the day. So I highly recommend that you get some of these torture devices, because although it hurts, it feels really good afterwards. Now, another area that you can work on with this is actually attacking your glutes or your hip flexors. So for me, I have pretty tight glutes. So to get in there with the ball, you're essentially going to stay away from the bones, because that just hurts. You don't want to get in there. You want to be working on the backside of the glutes and start going up towards the glute medians and even like the hip flexors a little bit, and just do little circular motions. And once again, don't forget to breathe. So you're just gonna work your way in there, breathe, and deepen into it, and just relax and try and find those spots that are that hurt, and then just sit on it. And you don't necessarily need to move. You're just gonna breathe your way into that spot. And what you'll find is, as you start foam rolling, areas are gonna start opening up. So what you couldn't access before, or maybe was a little too sensitive to be able to hit, you're now gonna be able to start to target those once you start loosening up all the other muscles around. So you get your quads loosened up, you get your hamstrings loosened up, your back, and now all of a sudden it opens up your hip. You can start going in there with less pain. So start off light and use some of these different techniques. And what you'll find is that you'll progressively start needing a little bit more abusive tools. So you'll go from this to maybe something a little bit firmer, you know, like a denser plastic, and then get into some of these more trigger point ones, or maybe even some spiky balls. Lacrosse ball seems to work well for me at least. All right, guys, that's gonna wrap it up for this week's episode. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you guys found this tutorial beneficial. If you did, let me know down in the comment section below. I'd love to do some more tutorials like this, maybe with cooking or supplementation or certain workouts. If you guys like this content, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And as always, be healthy, be active, and be yourself. Everyone has something to give this world. You just gotta go out there and find it. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.